I'm Casey Conlon, and I'm joined today by John Rife, a business consultant with the Job Service Billings. He's been there for 20 years, all out of Billings, and so he's kind of seen the job markets ebb and flow throughout a lot of different times in our life. But John, we were just talking, this is somewhat unprecedented. You guys have never quite seen anything like you have the last 6 weeks. Is that fair to say?
That's completely fair to say. We've seen a lot of ups and downs, but this has just been a tsunami. It has just flooded us with claimants that we've never had before.
I asked you a little bit ago about comparatively to talk about between '08 and '09, that bubble crash, and you said, that really wasn't what we're seeing here, especially on the jobs end of things.
That's right. We saw people coming in that were dislocated, but not nearly these kinds of numbers. It had, in other words, near the impact that this has had.
Let's talk about some numbers. Unemployment numbers for Billings and Yellowstone County specifically. What are the latest ones you can tell us, and what kind of spike have we really seen over the last 6 weeks?
Unemployment rates are a lagging indicator, so the most official number I have is still about 3.5, but that was early in March when that one was generated. What we've seen is that normally at this time of year, we'd have about 11,000 claimants. Instead, we've got about 66,000. In Yellowstone County, we've got about 10,000 people who have filed claims, and that's just a huge portion of the workforce.
You talk about 66,000, that's continued claims, correct? I mean, people who are going through the system and week after week continuing to claim unemployment.
That's right. They've already gotten into the system at some point, and now each week that they're unemployed, they file a continuing claim.
How flooded has your office, and then I assume talking to the unemployment office, how flooded have those calls been? And has that made it difficult for everybody to maybe see quick returns on unemployment claims?
We've all had to be patient through this. They asked us, all the job service offices, to step in and do the triage to try to take the first calls, find out if we could help them or if we need to refer them to unemployment insurance. We've done the best we can with the resources we have, but it's been trying and difficult for us and for the callers.
If you had to put a number on it, you say with the resources you have, to handle the call volume that you've received, I mean, would you need to double the amount of people who are working there to really effectively be able to get to everybody in a quick manner?
Unemployment, the insurance part of the Department of Labor, put on 25 new people 3 weeks ago, and they've been putting them through training. Those people came online today. And so the additional 25 people answering the phone, and these people can really help you. They're not doing triage like we are. They can actually look at your claim, help you, and get you going again. So we're hoping that we went past the worst of it now.
That's a really important number, I assume, for you guys to not only have those 25 extra people, but for them to be done with training and now officially be able to kind of help everybody's call load.
That's right. They came online this morning, and that should make a huge difference in being able to get through to the main number.
Excellent. Let's talk specifically about Billings and Yellowstone County. Do you have any comparative between them and the rest of Montana?
As far as, the thing about this is that it's, in times past, we had regional downturns, like maybe if the coal companies were laying off, it would affect southeastern Montana. This is everywhere. You can't get away from it. And I think that's the big thing, is that it doesn't matter where you go, you're not going to escape this.
Right. As the state begins to reopen, we saw businesses last week. Today, we see restaurants, bars, and casinos. As they begin to reopen, how has that been affecting what kind of volume that you guys see, not only coming into your office, but is there a job listing database growing? Are more people hiring? What kind of effects are we seeing because of the reopenings?
Well, it's unusual that we're not seeing more construction jobs. Typically at this time of year, we would see a big upturn in construction. What I am seeing is a call for cleaners. And so if you like to clean things, we've had butcher shops, bus lines, convenience stores, hotels looking for more people to do cleaning because that has become so important. Lawn care, which, of course, is a seasonal job, but that's certainly spiked. And then you have your steady stream of school and government jobs that are always there. So I guess it's really the one thing that I've noticed is the absence of construction jobs. We're just not seeing that big demand for construction workers that I would normally expect this time of year.
Interesting, because as you drive around town, you see a lot of current construction going on, more so than we necessarily would see this early in the season.
I'm wondering if they're hedging their bets, saying, let's keep our crews busy now because we may not have as much work later. I'm not sure what's going on. I just noticed that we don't have that call for construction workers that we would normally see at this time of year.
All right. Once again, we're talking to John Rife here, a business consultant with Job Service Billings. He's been in the market for 20 years. We want to also encourage anybody watching out there, please send in your questions. We'll try to get to a couple of them as we go along here. John, let's get back to the idea of cleaning. I mean, obviously, everybody talks about these phases and the proper protocols that need to be put into place, specifically, like you said, with service industry jobs. The fact that everything needs to be sanitized and cleaned basically as soon as one person uses it. That's where you're, I'm guessing, seeing all those new job listings are for. They're just having more people that need to be on a cleaning staff.
You know, I think that restaurants and motels and things have always, you know, tried to be as clean as possible, but this has put a lot more, they want it to be visible. They want, when you come in, they want to see somebody with a rag in their hand cleaning something, so you know, okay, that's being taken care of. You know, this table's been cleared. This, you know, this area is safe for me.
Right. I want to talk about a question that's come up with several people we've been talking to around the city. With the stimulus package, unemployment that is extending an extra $600 a week to some, there's a trend going around as businesses are starting to reopen. People are saying, you know, I'm actually making more on unemployment than I would if I would go back to my job. So they're telling employers, you know, I'd rather not go back because I'm actually making more money here. But there are things about that it's not quite necessarily up to them because you still have to demonstrate that you're trying to earn employment. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. It's regrettable that it puts the employers and the employees in that position that you get called back to work and it means you're going to take a pay cut. But if you refuse to go back to work, then you're going to get cut off unemployment altogether. And so it's a very difficult situation. But people, if your employer calls and says, your job's open, come back to work, even if it means a pay cut, you're better off to go take that job and get back into the workforce than you are to wait for your unemployment to get cut off because you didn't return to work.
Right. Let me ask the question about the benefits still being available for, let's say someone gets called back, but for less hours than they were before the shutdown happened. Are they then in an area where they're still maybe able to receive some of the benefits?
Absolutely. And the way that the federal money came down is that if you even receive $1 of state unemployment insurance, you get the full $600 a week of federal stimulus money. So if you were working 40 hours and now you're going back for 20, just keep filing your claim for that extra 20 hours and you'll also be eligible for that $600 a week stimulus money.
Right. You talked about giving an advice of going back and returning to your job. I want to ask the question about resumes and future work considerations when you talk about job interviews. A lot of employers will ask if they see a gap in employment. Is that why you're recommending, you know, it would just be a better decision long term to go ahead and return to work?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is because it's almost always easier to find a job when you're already working than it is to be sitting at home completely out of the game. It's like, as long as you're at work, you've got some routines and they're going to help you find a job. And plus it's going to be an incentive to find something better more than sitting at home. And then secondly, everybody understands at this time about the pandemic. And so it's going to show up on so many people's resumes that people are just going to look and say, well, yeah, of course you went through the pandemic.
We're going to take a quick question right here. This is from a viewer named Karen. She's asking, will her employment run out or is there an extension she can file?
There are some extensions with the Pandemic Unemployment Act. There were some extensions. The best thing to do is just go to our website, montanaworks.gov, and file your claim. And if you're eligible, then you'll get the money. And if not, you'll get a letter explaining why, but you'll be able to contest that and talk to them about it. There's so many ins and outs at this point, so much brand new information that we haven't really had time to digest. The best thing to do is apply. If you get it, great. If you don't, you know, follow up, keep trying until you're satisfied that you're either going to get it or not get it.
I think that's an interesting point you make there, the idea of persistence. I think a lot of people have said, you know, they've tried once, maybe they've tried a couple of times and it hasn't quite worked. And I think that, you know, just puts them in a kind of a negative mindset and they give up trying. But you would say, you know what, I know this is just kind of a long game. Just continue to try to do everything you can that the system has available for you.
Absolutely. You know, we're talking $600 a week plus whatever Montana's kicking in, and it goes retroactive to the time you were first laid out. laid off. So, you could be talking about getting a check when they catch you up of $3,000 or more. To me, that's worth some effort. That's worth some persistence. That's worth knocking on a few doors.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. A lot of individuals, a lot of families can use anything right now. So that obviously
Absolutely.
is a number that will help. Um, let's shift to talking about best practices for people not necessarily looking the unemployment route, but who are instead looking for maybe a job that they don't have the ability to do anymore as things start to reopen. Let's say that their business was not able to rehire everybody. What are their best practices right now when you're going out there and looking, maybe even to perhaps get into a new sector of the job market?
It's kind of the same advice we would always give, and that is, know your skills, know what you have to offer, look at where you want to go. The worst thing is when someone says, I don't know what I want. That's hard to deal with. But when someone knows what they want, then we can find transferable skills. We can take the resume and tailor it to that new job and get you to the interview, and then coach you through the interview to say the right things, ask the right questions, sell yourself in a positive manner, and hope that the job offer follows.
So many job opportunities and interviews are being done over video conferencing these days, which I know is a new idea for a lot of people. We're obviously doing this interview right now in separate buildings over a Zoom meeting. Are you guys trying to give basically different skills to people to distinguish themselves in a non-face-to-face situation?
I just helped someone go through a video interview here 2 weeks ago, and she got the job offer. She's got a new job. But some of the things I said was, make sure your background's clean. Don't have something that's distracting. Dress professionally. Get close to the camera. If possible, have someone else sit down and have you step back and look at it to see what you're going to look like. Try to position the camera kind of above you rather than below you. Make sure that the microphone, that they can hear you. Make sure you can hear them. So, there's a lot of things we can do that you just don't want to distract. You don't want to be focused on your background or, the cat climbing on the couch when they should be listening to what you're saying.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. There's just a lot of, it seems, small details that you want to make sure lead up to a nice bigger picture.
Yeah. It's a new technology. It's a new way of interviewing. It could become very common going forward. So, learn the skills now.
Right. We're going to take another question here from Stacy, who's actually asking an interesting one. Stacy asks, if you're self-employed, will you eventually get unemployment due to the inability to work due to COVID-19 circumstances? And I think that the government has, I think a couple of weeks ago, issued guidance for self-employed contractors who are seeking unemployment.
Yeah, this is brand new to us, brand new. Self-employed people have never been eligible for unemployment before. And so this money came down and it said, figure it out. So the states are figuring it out. And that meant we had to go and get an out-of-state computer package to be able to handle it, because our system was in no way designed to deal with self-employed people. So now we've got a new computer system. We've got a new team trained. We've got a new help number to call. And so we're hoping that we can really get those people up and going quickly now, but it's not easy.
So like you said, it was just something you weren't used to dealing with. So while it may not have come so far, people should continue to try, because now, especially with new operators, you guys will be able to handle that a little bit quicker.
Right. When you call, or if you go to our site now to file for a self-employed and look at the help email and the number, you're talking to people who have been trained in this new system, and they know what they're talking about, and they can really help you quickly.
Interesting. Can you once again tell us that website, and if you have any particular number?
If you just go to our all-purpose site, montanaworks.gov, and then from there you can take links to the self-employment, or to regular employment, or to job searches, or even to things like resume assistance, or it's all there on that one page. So that's the place to go to, montanaworks.gov.
Okay, thank you very much. Lastly, I'm just going to ask about the best resources for people. We just talked about montanaworks.gov. Is there anywhere else where you might point people in a direction to not only unemployment, but job service, and trying to get this market a little bit back and running?
We're still there. I'm still getting calls from employers listing jobs. I'm getting calls from, I mentioned that someone needed help with a video conferencing. We're still there doing what we can by email, by telephone. We'll help any way we can. So we're still a resource for employers looking to post jobs and for people looking to get a job or change careers or whatever, training dollars, all that kind of stuff. It's still ongoing. It's just kind of behind the scenes right now.
Right. Going forward in the next, couple of weeks and couple of months, where do you expect this market to shift? Where do you expect your guys' main call volumes to come from, and the help you can give most?
So hard to predict the future, right?
Right.
If the COVID is under control and if things kind of start returning to normal, then that's what I would see, is that a return to, to the construction jobs more, to the, the outdoor jobs, eventually to, the students finding tourism jobs and part-time jobs, the things that we normally do during the summer.
Mm-hmm. In your 20 years, again, we'll go back to what we said at the beginning. I assume you've never seen anything quite like this.
No, it's, every day is a brand new day, and this was something that I never expected to see, and so we are ramping up to handle it as best as we can, and adjusting our workload every day to meet the demand. But no, I don't know if anybody saw this coming.
Right. All right, we're going to end with one more question here. This is going to come from Roxy. She's asking, she's retired and she receives Social Security benefits, but she still works part-time. So she's wondering if she can receive unemployment.
Absolutely. Apply for it. Again, it's case by case. A claims examiner will look at her application and make that determination. But most likely she's eligible, and most likely she'll get benefits.
Great. Excellent work. Thank you so much. We're going to be signing off. Again, this was John Rife. He's a business consultant with Job Service Billings. People, there are things that everybody is still working out. John told us that they've hired 25 new operators to help there. And so if you're on unemployment and trying to file, just continue to do everything you can. And if you're looking for jobs, lots of listings there, and help with being able to interview in these new ways that we have going on here. John, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next time.